So if you are completely new at animating, I would suggest Cascadeur. It's the easiest, most user-friendly program out there. I'm going to show you where to get resources. I'm going to show you how to use Cascadeur. First things you need to know, animation files have a file type. It's called an FBX file. So whenever you look for some resources, FBX is a safe bet. Other animation files are also DAE files and USD files. And you also get GLB. I've only used FBX, and for any other files I would use Blender to convert it back into FBX. So first thing, animation is hard, and it's also fun and a little addictive. It's like building a puzzle, but instead of the picture being in the box, it's in your head and you're putting the pieces together on your computer. Your first animation will be terrible, and that's okay. Here's a few of my animations I started with. But that is how you learn. So before you even start animating, I would suggest visiting these two websites to make your life easier. I also just want to point out that it is not necessary for you to buy a course on animating, especially if you're starting out. All the information that you could possibly need is on YouTube. You just need to find the correct creator. I would recommend you start your animation journey by downloading Cascadeur. So Cascadeur is free to try out. You just can't export. When you export, you have to buy a license. After you download it, we open Cascadeur, and you'll be greeted with this following screen. I usually go with the mannequins, UE5 mannequins, because my main platform is Unreal. But you also don't have to select anything. You could just click over here, and then here's your blank screen. As I said before, our first resource is Mixamo. So it's a big library of animations that you could need. Let us just look for a nice run animation, and then I can decide which one suits my project the best. I'm going to use the slow run for this example. So we go download, format FBX, and as you see it's other formats here, but we want FBX. I'm happy with 30 frames per second. I'm going to do with skin, and I want no keyframe reduction. Download. So what I can do now is two things. I can either go to my download, drag and drop in there. Just going to say no for now, and there's my animation. Or to import it, we go FBX, import mode, add new, animation and objects, and open first take. Import, gamma animation, open, and there it is. So easy enough is to just drag and drop. So here's your first animation. You don't have to do anything. Just have to import it. So currently this character is not rigged. We cannot make any changes to him. So now we need to rig it. So with Cascadeur we can rig this character using quick rig. So to do that, here's the rig button. We press rig, yes, quick rigging tool, and you'll see all the correct bones will be connected to the body at the right location. You say add rig elements, generate rig, and now your character is rigged. So from here we can make changes any changes that we want. So on the top left hand corner here we're going to use different controllers. So this one we use to see no controllers, this one we use with auto posing, and this one we do normal point controllers, and then this one we do box controllers, and here's to see the skeleton again, and then this is to see my mesh. We have now rigged the character using the quick rig. I just want to show off the skeleton quickly here. Here is my skeleton, and here is my running animation. It's important to note that the skeleton is not necessarily compatible with other skeletons. So when you import your own model, which I'm going to do now here for example, let's say it's a UE5 model, this animation will not be compatible with this character because they will have two different skeletons. So here's my character, it's rigged, ready to change, ready to animate. Where I would like to start with is just to do animation from scratch. We're going to do a running animation from scratch. So I open a new character. Here's my character here, and now I want him to run like this one. This is called the keyframe, this little blue part here. it exists of different parts. So for example, I've got my head, got my body, I've got my arms and my legs and my fingers. And to access fingers with auto posing, we select this button over here and do fingers. And there's my fingers. And then all of them are their own track, so I can make changes and it will stick to its own track. So we want this character to run as well. So I usually like to close this, so we'll go one keyframe. I want this character to run forward. I select 61 on my timeline, for example, and I press F. That is to create another keyframe. What a keyframe means is at the specific point of my timeline, I want a certain pose to happen on my character. So I need to animate it such a way that each pose looks like then the character is doing something. So I'm going to make this character run. And with the new Cascader update, you might have heard of in-betweening. So this is where Cascader actually does the animating for you. So we're going to make the character run. I select 61 again where I keyframed. I double click on the pelvis here to select all the joints. I don't have to do it in auto posing, and I can use it in this joint mode as well. I can use it on this box mode as well, whichever you prefer. Each of these do have their own little benefits. Auto posing makes your character adapt naturally to your movement. So for example, if I lift the hand, my character is trying to adapt forward, trying to adapt. Always trying to keep this center of mass in the middle. We can do this by lifting the feet and you'll see the character will adapt. So auto posing will also save you some time. If you do not like that, if you rather want to move stuff individually, you can go on joint mode. You double click to select all your points, for example there, my whole hand, and then I left click to move my arm how I want. And as you see, it will stay exactly in that position, and I can move it wherever I want, and my arm joints will move accordingly. Same with the feet, exactly like that. So I'm going to use my auto posing. I'm going to double click on my pelvis. I want the character to start running or to move to frame 61. So as you can see, at frame 0 and frame 61, character's exact same spot. So there's nothing for Cascader to animate for me. So I need to move my character forward. I can do that easy enough by clicking on this little blue line here or arrow and moving my character forward to my desired spot. Then I highlight the whole interval. This is called the interval. And this is where I want my animation to be added. This whole interval here. And then we go in between. And there's my character running. So to make it run even further, I need to move my character up. The same thing again, in between. Let's see what it looks like. And there's my character running. So in-betweening is very nice. You can do many things with it. So with the in-betweening, we can do a walk, run, crawl, jump, acrobatic or combat style. We don't need in-betweening to animate. It's just there to help you out for bigger scenes. I want my character to wave. Let's do something simple. And for that, I actually want to take auto posing off. I don't want my character to move along with that. I'm just pressing Shift Z to return. I'm going to take auto posing off, but I do that by double clicking the pelvis. So everything is highlighted and press Shift Z. There, so all my points moved. I want to lift up my arm like this. So I now want to fix this arm. So we can do that by using the rotate function. We can go up here to select this tool. So we've got translate, rotate, and scale. So you'll mostly be using translate and rotate. So I'm going to rotate this up. I'm going to press E, which is the shortcut. And you see the circle here. I'm going to drag this over. And now his hand is in the air. Going to move his hand up to there. And then I want to fix his elbow. I can either fix it manually like this, or I can just press Shift Z and it will take a natural pose. I'm not happy with this elbow. Same thing here. I can move it up if I want, or I can press Shift Z and it'll take a natural pose. So my auto posing is now on my elbow and on my shoulder. I want this character to wave. So how do I do that? By adding keyframes. So for example, I want him, we're starting keyframe 0 in that position. Keyframe 10, I want him to be in that position. I'm going to move the arm a little bit there and also rotate to there. And then at keyframe 20, I want him at that position. So as you can see, it's jumping from one scene to the other. Obviously, the motions need to happen smooth. So this is where we now go to our different interpolations. So we have Bezier, we have Bezier viscous, clamped, and linear, and stepped. Currently this is in steps, so step 1, step 2, step 3. But I want to add motion to it. So let's actually add then Bezier. You will see my character waves there. If we want to make changes to it, we just need to add keyframes and make changes to the character. So this keyframe is on the entire body. So if I just want to make change to my arm, I'm just going to take this off quickly. We highlight that and press F. Then I make sure only my arm is selected there. And I'm going to move the arm forward here. As you see, I tried to move forward, it jumps back. It's because I haven't keyframed it yet. To do that, we press F. And now it's stuck in this keyframe. So here's my new animation. So each section needs to be keyframed. You can do it all together, you don't need to do it step by step, but as you go on, you'll see it's necessary to do it joint by joint, just to make the animation look a lot better. Here is my waving character. To quickly talk about interpolation, I will show you this. So let's just go back quickly again. Begin at the start. So I'm going to do this in two ways. So I'm going to go to 15 and my keyframe there, and I just want to pull my hand up to the sky. I'm going to take off auto posing on all this, push it up to there, use rotate up there, that's where I want my hand, and I'm going to fix the shoulder there, shift Z. I can move the hand a little bit higher, and I'm actually going to fix the elbow as well, click there, shift Z, auto posing. And there's my hand in the sky. So remember I said that you get different ways you can animate, move your character around via auto posing, point controller, and box. So this is where box mode comes in handy. Let's see if we can twist the clavicle so it looks a little bit better. So press E to go back to rotate, and I'm twisting it around a bit. It already looks a lot better, and I'm going to twist the top part of this arm, and that looks a lot better. And there we go, all fixed. So it's going from bottom to top. I'm going to highlight this whole interval, and I'm going to use Bezier. And let's see what the animation looks like. We can move the animation timeline up and down, clicking here and dragging it. We can also increase my timeline and just adding some extra numbers, and then my timeline gets bigger. I can also make it smaller by doing the same. Move to 10, and there we go. So now my character is moving his arm up. Okay. So as you see, my character moves his arm straight up, from the bottom straight up to the top. This is called inverse kinematics, which is noted here. With inverse kinematics, it takes the straightest route to its point. We can fix this by selecting this here and using FK. So this now, in my opinion, is the more natural movement. Mostly for your arms, because that takes a little bit of a long way around. So you see, he will lift his arms up like that. So like a whole swinging motion. So I'm going to use forward for this example, but as you can see, he's lifting up his hand for me too quickly. I'm going to drag this up here, and I want it to be a little bit slower. So to do that, I increase my frame rates, or my frames in between it. So now I can move up 15 to, let's say, 30. To do that is I select my keyframe, press middle mouse button, and then drag it all the way to 30, and now it's going to be slower. So FK Animatics You can use for most things. I would not suggest it for the feet though, because the feet's going to do the exact same thing, where inverse uses the straightest route to the next point. So when you do animate and you note that your character is moonwalking about, it's likely because you are in FK and not IK. We're going to go back to our slow run animation, which is here. Okay. So here, each of these are keyframes. All this blue stuff is keyframes. So we can reduce these keyframes if we want. So here's the first pose, second pose, third pose, doing this whole run function or feature over there. If we can make a change to a keyframe. So for example, I want him to raise his hand up over here, which we can do. We can fix that using E. So now, as you can see, I can't move this wrist because we've only selected one point. So I can't just rotate one single point for this hand. I need to tell the program I want to move the whole hand. By doing that, I need to include these 2 points as well. So the easy way to do it is to double click here. All the points selected, and now I can rotate it up like that. So now my hand is up like I wanted. But here's the first frame, second frame, third frame, and then I jump to that hand, which is not going to look right. So let's do it. As you can see, that does not look nice at all. Okay, so there's 2 ways in fixing that. Let's say I want to keep my hand in the air. I can either fix it frame by frame. So I'm going to pick up, for example, my hand over there, and then hand over there, then hand over there. I can do that. It's going to take time. And you need to make sure that it looks right while it's running. We're going to use another feature to do this much easier. And this is going to be called unbaking. So I'm going to unbake this. Unbaking means that we're removing keyframes and using an interpolation we talked about. So for that, I select my timeline, which is this, and I press here unbake. So there's different features for unbaking that you can do. This is the one I like to use. I think it starts out at 10 over here, but I like to use it at 5, so you can make changes there. 5 just gives me more keyframes and makes the character movement for me feel a bit more natural. So I keep it at 5, press the button here, unbake, and as discussed, you see those keyframes are now gone. But the animation is still the same. Right. Okay, I still want to raise that hand, so what do? We need to go by each keyframe and raise that hand. Or we can use that interpolation to help us out. So I'm going to open the scene here, and I just want to work on that arm. So I'm going to open this up here as well. This is going to be my right arm. So each of these keyframes I need to now fix. So I actually do not want to do that. I want to just keep his hand in the air. So I'm actually going to remove all these keyframes. So I can do that by highlighting everything. From everything in between, from the beginning to the end. So everything in between, I'm going to highlight and press F. Sorry, I'm going to highlight and press Alt F. That adds all the keyframes in, and if I press Alt F again, it takes it all out. So now you'll see my hand doing something funny, floating about there. See, because now there's no animation or no poses linked to that hand. I want to keep that hand in the air, so I'm going to raise his hand up, double click here to get it twisted, double click here to select the whole hand, twist it up. I'm going to keep it there, just like that. Great, but as you can see, it doesn't look correct. I'm actually going to use auto posing now, so this function here to correct it. Select the elbow, Shift Z, and I'm going to move this hand out a bit more. So with auto posing, I don't have to double click. I can, but I don't have to, and I can move my hand like this. And I actually want him to open up his hand. So I need to move that fingers. I can do that using the auto posing of the fingers by selecting here, and then I can control all my fingers by using my index finger and putting it up there. So usually that works. So as we discussed before, You see those blue dots over there? That means auto posing is not in effect. I'm going to add it back. So I'm clicking there, holding in shift, there, 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 and there, and pressing shift Z to add auto posing back. Now my fingers are auto posed in a fist, but I want to open that up. So again, using the tip of my index finger and opening it up, and there is my hand. So my whole animation or my whole hand movement is going to follow my index finger. So if you want to control it separately, just make sure you remove auto posing. So here we go. Hands in the air. I want it over there. And with the whole interpolation, you will note that this is my one pose and this is my last pose. So my last pose is different than my first pose. So slowly but surely, he's going to put his hand down like that. Okay, let's see what that looks like. And as you can see, it looks a bit weird. I think that wrist is also a bit, doesn't look too great. Or maybe it looks fine. So this is in IK. We can put it in FK. Like this. And then it's more of a... So he puts his hand down, then more of a swinging motion, which I actually like more. Okay, but I want to keep my hand completely up in the air for this whole run. So I can change it here manually as well if I want, or I can use the copy and paste feature. So we go into point controller mode. I want my hand up in the air like that. So we can copy this whole pose. So usually I want the whole hand to look like that. So so I want the whole arm to look exactly like that. I double click there. I go edit, copy, and then I can paste it on this side here. So note when I paste it, what's going to happen. Edit, paste. As you can see, this does not look right at all. I've just copy and pasted now my hand there, and the program's done exactly what I wanted. I copy and pasted in global mode. So global mode meaning that in my scene or in this world, I've copied that I want this hand to be in this position right here in this world, and I pasted it. Same thing, I want it in that position in this world. So as you can see, it's not possible. That's my character is flung this way. So how to fix that, or how to do this correctly. So when I get back to my position here. So how to do this correctly is we do the same. We go edit, copy, but we put it now in local mode. Local mode being my character. So on this character, I want my arm to be in that position. And we go back to this position here, all arms already selected, and go edit. So make sure it's in local, edit, paste. There we go. And there is my hand still in exact the same position, just on a different spot. So you can see he keeps his hand up there. And that's now what I wanted, and that's what I told the program. But now you might say, okay, but you know what? My fingers were open here, and now it's not open. So these point controllers, we matched this position on a character. As you can see, it did not include the fingers. Let's go back. So the way to do this is to go to your box controller mode. So you'll see there, it looks like box around it, but it's also around my fingers over there. So I can copy and paste exact the same way using box controller mode. So I make sure I'm in local. I'm gonna double click this. It selects all my points, which includes my fingers. And then includes my arm and my fingers, and you'll see it's highlighted there as well. So shoulder, which is a part of my body, arm and fingers. I'm gonna go edit, copy, or you can do Control C. I'm gonna go to this frame over here. I'm going to highlight everything just to be safe. Because I only copied those certain sections, it should just paste over here and go edit, paste. And there we go. Hands in there, fingers are open. Let's see what that looks like. And that should be open over there. Now, why did that happen? It's because my fingers, I forgot to take off my keyframes on these fingers here. So now my keyframes here has been fixed and there has been fixed, but these are still there. So we're going to remove that by highlighting, pressing Alt F again, and there we go. There's him running with his hand in the air. This is how you can make changes to your imported animation. We can make him look the other way. For example, the head, I want him actually now to look to his left side while he's running. So again, I can change by moving his head over here. So for that, I'm going to select this point. I want to go back into global. It's just easier for me to use. And then I can move it over there. So now it's looking that way. I can also do that by double clicking here, moving his whole head, pressing E, rotate. And I can maybe rotate it there. I can move the top of his head. So it's up to you how you want to use it. You can even go into auto posing. Then we just select one joint. Even do the box mode, which I rarely do, and mostly for copy and pasting. Okay, so now I want him to look that way. We can work with the keyframes again. So you see, there's one pose, there's one pose. It's looking forward again. Same thing, looking forward. We can do exactly the same thing. I want this off, so highlight all of that. Alt F, Alt F. Now all that's gone. Now you're going to see he's running forward, looking that way, and he'll slowly but surely look forward. There. So there, I actually still want him to look that way. So let's move him that way. And then here's my whole animation. Great. Now that's exactly how I want it changed. Now we can use this, and we can extend it if we want him to run a bit longer. So I'm going to open up this interval up to there. Let's say I want him to run up until there 100. Okay, so now we need to just create a cycle. We can do that by highlighting everything over here and then choosing a cycle. We can do a cycle by creating position offset. Position offset meaning that when it stops at a certain position, I want the cycle to continue from that position, which is exactly what we need. So I select create cycle there. You'll see that gets highlighted. I use the endpoint here, and then I just drag to 100. And then all the keyframes are copied over with my position offset. And there the little guy goes. So we open Cascadeur, and you get greeted by the screen. So you're always welcome to import your own model, but for the purpose of this one, we are going to use the UE5 Mani. Here is our model. How to move around the screen is you hold in Alt and left click, and then you can drag and move around the character. You can also use Alt and right click to zoom in and out, or you can use your mouse wheel as well, middle mouse wheel. So you'll most of the time use Alt and left click. Now we're looking at the viewport here. So I'm going to start from the top and go down. So here you can use different ways to manipulate your model. So you've got translate, or a short for that is W. If you click on here, you can drag and drop where you want that hand. Here we go rotate, or E, and then you can move around that hand. Then we've got global and local mode. Here we've got global tail mode. That is to, let's say for example, move around your fingers or anything that's got, it almost looks like a tail. I'll show you quickly how that would work. So we're going to go here is into box mode, and I want to move this around in a tail fashion. I click that, and then I can rotate it by pressing E, and you see the little tail there. I can do this, so it looks like it curls like a tail. There's also another way to do that. We can go on to this auto posing mode. Click here, and there's hands or fingers, and we can do exactly the same thing by moving the finger. This is your physics assistant button, or auto physics. You got your rig mode here. all this is auto posing, so all this green means the character can be auto posed. What that means is if I move my hands here, the character moves trying to get into a natural position. I use the Shift Z function, and we'll talk about it a bit later. Here we've got fulcrum motion cleaning, so that's foot fixing. So if you see a character slide all about, you can use that. So it's usually used for video mocap or mocap. And then we've got here the mocap feature, and we've got here the unbaking feature. And with Cascaders, the last two updates, they've got in-betweening. So what that means is that I can make my character do things between the scenes. So for example, I want to move my character forward. I can just do that by dragging him forward. This is the position I want him to stay in. Highlight this and press in between. And now I've got a character moving forward. So this kind of does the animating for you. We can also, for example, have him jump. Let's try and make him jump. So I added the keyframe there. I'm going to drag him up there. Yes, I want that. Dragging up there. Now I need to redo the in-betweening. Highlight everything in between. And let's see what that looks like. There he jumps and there he goes. Obviously needs cleanup, but it's such a nice way to learn. Or fill in blanks in your scene and take it from there. Especially for somebody with like me doesn't have the best imagination. Now we get to the outliner. So here it just shows you exactly what part of the body is highlighted. And I mainly use this if I want to add objects, so like a sword or anything. So I can add it to the outliner to this side. See the link below for tutorial for that. We've got in scene settings. So here, for example, animation of baking, you can make any changes. Now we're going down here to the bottom. So we've got our character here. You see this blue dot there. This is a keyframe. That is a keyframe. So add this keyframe, think of it as a photo. So whatever pose I make my character do, it's going to pose for that photo. Like that is now going to be my pose for this photo. If I go on, nothing changes. But remember, I made this keyframe earlier and it's back to that pose. So this in between is in my animation. So for example, I can highlight this and then add the interpolation or animation. And there we go. There's my whole animation. My character consists of different sections. So my head, which is highlighted there, body highlighted there, arms highlighted there, and legs and fingers. And this can also be expanded to my left arm, right arm, legs, same with the fingers. There's different ways of manipulating the body parts. So we've got auto posing mode. So that means that my character will try and stay in a pose that seems natural, trying to keep the center of mass in the center. We also got point controller mode. That doesn't take center of mass into consideration, but it's nice to manipulate the new character without it doing funky things. And then we also got box mode, which is quite useful, especially copy and pasting over different sections of the body onto different frames. So for example, I just want to move this like this. So I want to move this arm and this position of my fingers onto this keyframe there. So I go back here, double click to highlight everything, Control C, highlight everything there, Control V, and there's it in that position. Something like that. And then we've got our skeleton mode, and then we've got our mesh mode. You're mainly going to use these two, but this also comes in handy. So yeah, I hope it helps, and yeah, have a good one and good luck. Bye.